Okay, screen visible hai? Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's begin the session. This is lecture number 26 and we are dealing with concurrency control, and this is part 2. So in the last lecture we have discussed what is concurrency and the key terms of concurrency, in which we have discussed that if we are use such kind of operating systems like multi-programming, multitasking, multi-user, multi-processing and distributed operating system, then it might possible that concurrency maybe occurs in this situation. And concurrency we cannot avoid if we are using this kind of operating system that we have also seen in the last lecture. And about the key terms that are related to the concurrency, we have discussed so many key terms like atomic operations, critical section, deadlock, mutual exclusion, race condition, leave lock, and starvation and blocking. So let's continue. Principle of concurrency. The concurrency is the interleaving of process in time to give the appearances of simultaneous execution. यदि कंकरेंसी को हम समझें तो ये प्रोसेसेस के बीच में एक इंटरलिव्ड फैशन बताता है जो कई सारी प्रोसेस के एग्जीक्यूशन को साइमल्टेनियसली करता है, बट एज ए यूज़र उसे ऐसा फील होता है कि वही और उसकी ही प्रोसेस एग्जीक्यूट हो रही है और सीपीयू का जो भी क्लॉक पल्स है वो डेडिकेटेडली उस यूज़र की प्रोसेस को एलोकेटेड है, बट एक्चुअली में मल्टीपल यूजर्स की मल्टीपल प्रोसेसेस एक साथ एग्जीक्यूट होती है इंटरलीविंग फैशन में. Thus it differ from the parallelisms which offer एग्जीक्यूशन. अब क्योंकि यहाँ पे मोर देन वन प्रोसेस एक साथ एग्जीक्यूट हो रही है तो इसको हम पैरेललिज्म से कंपेयर कर सकते हैं, बट पैरेलल प्रोसेस और कनकरेंसी प्रोसेस दोनों में काफ़ी डिफरेंस है. पैरेलल प्रोसेस में एक्चुअल में कई सारी प्रोसेस का एग्जीक्यूशन साइमल्टेनियसली होता है, बट कनकरेंसी के अंदर ऐसा फील होता है, ऐसा अपीयर्स होता है कि कई सारी प्रोसेस एक साथ एग्जीक्यूट हो रही है. तो यहाँ पे ये टर्म्स को आपको याद रखना है कि पैरेललिज्म्स में एक्चुअल जेन्युइनली साइमल्टेनियसली एग्जीक्यूशन होते हैं. However, difficulties raised by the two overlap to a large extent are sharing global resource safely is difficult. यदि concurrency आती है तो sources जो उनके सेफ्टी के बारे में कंसर्न होना चाहिए. ऑप्टिमल एलोकेशन ऑफ रिसोर्स इज डिफिकल्ट। किसी भी रिसोर्स का ऑप्टिमल एलोकेशन, किस प्रोसेस को क्या रिसोर्स की रिक्वायरमेंट है, दैट इज टू बी डिसाइडेड बाय द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ कंकरेंसी. So it is also a difficult process to allocate any resources to a process wisely. So there are so many applications, there are so many algorithms which decides which resource allocate to that process. So selection of resources and selection of process is done by some algorithms. So second point, that optimal allocation of resource is difficult. Locating programming errors can be difficult because the context in which error occurs cannot always be reproduced easily. So in concurrency situation, there is a problem, there is a difficulties to locating programming error. Now, operating system concern, the design and management issues for the operating system includes, it must be able to keep track of various processes. This is the main concern of operating system. If concurrency is there, then it is very difficult to keep track of various processes, and this is done by using PCBs. So there is a concept of process control blocks which contain and every process, details of every process that are currently running on primary memory. So by using PCB concept, we can keep track of all the various processes running on RAM. But still there is an issue of operating system. It have to keep track of various processes. If there is no concept of PCB, then it is very difficult to keep track of various processes. The operating system must allocate and deallocate various resources for each active process. This is again a major concern of operating system, that every process that are active in a RAM, it has to be allocated and deallocate to a resource. And wisely, we have to declaim the memories also. And resource maybe include like processor time, processor clock pulse, primary memory, files and folders, and input output devices. These are all comes into the category of resources, which might be allocated to a process. So time to time we have to allocate these resources to a process, and time to time we have to declaim that particular resources from the process. And the fourth concern of the operating system about the concurrency is, it must protect the data and physical resource of each process against unintended interference by the process. Means if two processes are using the same resource, then it must be protected physically. So this is again done by the operating system by using some deadlock algorithms. We will discuss some deadlock algorithms in the upcoming session, how a resource can be protected and how a resource can be allocated to a process wisely. Now the fifth concern of operating system about the concurrency is, the functioning of a process and the output it produces must be independent of speed at which its execution is carried out relative to the speed of the other concurrent processes. So fifth concern is about the process and their speed. So there are 5 concerns about the operating system, what it feels if so many processes are running into the primary memory. So let's take at a glance. The operating system concern, there is a design and management issue that feels by the operating system if concurrency occurs. Second, it must be keep tracks of various processes by using PCBs. It has to create a number of PCBs related to the process. Individual process can handle by the individual PCB, so by which we can handle all the process, we can handle all the track of various processes that are currently running in RAM. So second point was that. Third is allocation and reallocation of various resources to the process. That is again a major concern of operating system when the concurrency is currently running in RAM. Fourth concern was the protect of data and physical resources. and the fifth one is functioning of process and their output. We have discussed about the mutual exclusion in previous topic, that two processes are mutually exclusive if they have agreement between accessing the resources. So let's continue. It is the depth topic in our operating system according to our syllabus. So mutual exclusion needs to be enforced only when processes access shared modifiable data. When processes are performing operations that do not conflict with one another, they should be allowed to proceed concurrently. As I told you in the last session, if there are two processes and both processes are accessing the same shared data structure, then it might possible that the data structure which are shared between two processes gets damaged or conflicts. So there are no confliction, they do not conflict to each other. That's why mutual exclusion need to be enforced. So in this mutual exclusion process, what we do, we take two different process and process gets mutually exclusive to each other and decided which one access the shared data structure first. There must be agreement between two process which one gets shared data structure first. Now mutual exclusion conditions, if we could arrange matters such that no two processes were ever in the critical section simultaneously, we could avoid race condition. We have already discussed about the race condition. That means if there are concurrency, then so many processes currently in RAM, and suppose there is a data structure which are shared, and so many processes we are allowed to access that particular data structure, then the data structure gets corrupted. So in order to avoid the confliction of data, what we do, we make two processes mutually exclusive. So if we could arrange matters like if we assign a priority to a process that which one gets access first, so there is no race condition in the critical section. So it is a problem. Race condition is one kind of problem which the result of race condition, that the data structure gets damaged. But if you want to avoid the race condition, what we do, we will enter one by one the process to the critical section. We need four conditions to hold to have a good solution for critical section problem. Now there is some solutions. So no two processes may at the same moment inside the critical section. We have already discussed about the critical section. It is nothing, just a number of processes. This section is called critical section. We have taken example like price function, and the code of price function is shared between so many users. So it is not allowed to process. It can inside the critical section simultaneously. Then we can preserve the data structure. There is one solution, right? We do not allow two processes that may same movement inside the critical section. So one by one, we have to allow that process can enter into the critical section and change our data structure. Second, no assumptions are made about relative speeds of processor or number of CPUs. Means no process can take assumptions how many times can process access the CPU clock pulse. So there is no assumptions should be made. If there is assumptions which are made by the processes, then there might be confliction again. So second solution, processes should not take any assumptions about the CPUs. How many CPUs are there? How much clock pulse required to complete the processes? This kind of assumption should not taken by the process. This is the operating system concerned, and it should taken out. Third solution, no process should Fourth solution, no processes should wait arbitrarily long to enter in critical section. Now, what does it mean? If a resource is available and we allocate a process, if we allocate a resources to a process and process gets arbitrarily long time occupation, long time up to that particular process, and it is not doing some fruitful work by this process, so it should release that process. But sometime it might happen that a process can hold a resource after a long time, but it cannot release. And due to this, other process that required same resources gets blocked. So there is no process should be there that wait arbitrarily long to enter in critical section. So these are some mutual exclusion conditions, and we need 4 conditions to hold to have a good solution for critical section problem. So about these 4 solutions, we can handle the critical section problem. And we can preserve the shared data structure by different processes. Now, implementing approach of mutual exclusion, the question arises how we can implement the mutual exclusion. Some memory section, that means mutual exclusion might occur. So how to implement mutual exclusion? So there so we are allowed to second is hardware approach. So if we interrupt disabling concept and the special machine instructions, these are 2 hardware approach. If we use these approaches, we can handle the mutual exclusion physically on the hardware. So these 2 approaches is not the part of our syllabus, but you should know there is a software approach to handle the mutual exclusion, and there is hardware approach also which implement the approaches of mutual exclusion. operating system approach, semaphores, monitors, message passing. So third one is in our syllabus. That means if you want to implement the mutual exclusion approach, so there is an operating system approach on which we have to implement semaphore, monitors, and message passing. These are three techniques, these are three approach which comes into the operating system approach. According to this, we can implement the mutual exclusion and we can preserve our data structure. So let's talk about first approach, first concept based on operating system approach, that is semaphores. Semaphore, what is semaphore? A semaphore is a counter variable that is manipulated automatically through two operations. So semaphore is one kind of a variable, you can say. It is a counter variables that is manipulated automatically through two operations. Let's understand how it work as a counter and how it's manipulated automatically through the two operations. So this is important concept. You should know how semaphore implemented by using programming. So according to definition, it is a counter variable, or it is a counter that manipulate itself automatically by two operations. Let's suppose there is a main function, there is some variable declaration. These are some programming statement, let's suppose that, and in which there is an shared function that is price. This is the body of price. Now if these functions is shared between multiple users or multiple process, then this is called a critical section. This is a critical section. So critical section is those section which are shared by so many users. So we have to set a counter variables here. Let's counter variable suppose s equal to 0. So counter variable s equal to 0 indicate the critical section is empty. We can take assumption according to our algorithms. If s is equal to 0, it indicates critical section is empty. We can allow process to enter inside critical section. So let's suppose there is a process P1, there is process P1, and we know that every process having its own text, data, and text section, text, data, and stack. So every process having its own context. This complete portion is known as context of the process. Context of process. So suppose process P1 wants to enter into the critical section. So process P1 suppose wants to enter into the critical section, but before entering into the critical section, P1 look to the counter variable S. What is the value of S? Because we are not allowed to enter more than one process into a critical section, because it is a critical section having allowed one by one processes to change its data structure. So suppose P1 is interested to enter into the critical section. He wants to change our data structure. P1 wants to call price function and change or set our product price. So this kind of process P1 is currently running on RAM, let's suppose. But before entering into the critical section, it should check the value of S. And we take assumption that if value of S is 0, what it indicates, if S equal to 0, critical section is empty, we can allow process to enter inside the critical section. So as P1 see S equal to 0, it understand critical section is empty. Now P1 load our context into the critical section and will manipulate our data structure according to our product price. So in this way, P1 gets entered. Now P1 enter into the critical section. Now as soon as the P1 gets entered into the critical section, the counter variable, which are semaphore in our case, it change the value of S. So the value of S now become 1, because P1 is already in the critical section. Right? So counter S equal to 1 indicate there is something manipulation occurs into the critical section. Now during the changes or manipulation of any process data structure, again it might possible that so many processes comes into the wait, like P2, P3, and P4. These are three different processes which might change our data structure by using price function. But P2 will see the value of S. S is equal to 1. It indicates there is a process inside the critical section. So counter variable could not allow to P2 process that enter into the critical section. Similarly, P3 will check S equal to 1. S equal to 1 means there is again a process into the critical section. Again P3 take itself in a waiting queue. Similarly, P4 process. In this way, there are so many processes gets in waiting states. Now P1, let's suppose P1 finish our execution. It sets our objects values according to their price, and P1 comes outside from the critical section. So let them out. This is out from the critical section. It gives a wake up call and sets the counter variable. So now again counter variable becomes 0 and it gives wake up call to process P2. It gives wake up call to process P2 because P2 is front in the queue. Now again critical section is empty, counters S equal to set as a 0. P1 gives wake up call to process P2 and then P2 gets enter into the critical section. P2 will remove from the queue. It removes from the queue. This is actually a ready queue or waiting queue, you can say. It is a waiting queue where two process waiting for entering into the critical section. So now in current situation, P3 and P4 is waiting into the critical section, and right now P2 is manipulating our data. As P2 enter into the critical section, again the counter variable gets changed and it is set to 1. So this is the way how counter variables manipulated using a programming. There is a program, there is algorithms which implement semaphore. So just semaphore is a counter variable that manipulates itself automatically by two operations. So P1 and P2, there are two operations that manipulate counter variables automatically. So one operation that enter into the critical section will change the values s equal to 1, and if it outside from the critical section, again the value s become 0. So you should remember two things. If critical section is empty, then s equal to 0, and if critical section is occupied by some process, then s equal to 1. So this is how we can implement semaphore, and we can have a number of execution by processes one by one. So a semaphore is a counter variable that manipulated automatically through two operations. Now it required two functions to automatically manipulate between two operations. It required two functions: signal and wait. Semaphore having two functions. Now let's understand what is the purpose of wait. So wait function taking a parameter of a type semaphore. Basically in operating system there is a structure called semaphore, and we are taking the type of structure, you can say the variable that are types of semaphore, and semaphore itself is a structure. This structure is same as you understand in C programming. The variable of structure, how variable of structure can access the data member of structure, how it can access the functions of structure. So you know that structure having so many variable declaration and so many functions declaration. So this is the structure, right? So what does a wait function? Decrement if counter is 0, then block until semaphore is signaled. So wait function always decrement the value of s. If after decrementing, if counter value is become 0, then the block until semaphore is signaled. So S equal to 0, it indicates critical section is empty. But if S become minus, means there is, let's design. This is a waiting queue, and it is the center part always neutral by the 0. This indicate 0. Let's suppose in the right hand side there is a positive number, and in the left hand side there is a negative number. So there are two situations, maybe queue is blocked or maybe process gets blocked in the queue. So we have to implement by using the value of S. If value of S become negative, then the process gets blocked. And if we are decrementing the value of S and after decrementing value becomes 0, that means the critical section is empty. We can allow a process to enter into the critical section. So we have two options, whether we can increment the value of S or value of we can decrement the value of S, and both having two different significance. So wait function always decrement the value of semaphore, and if counter becomes 0, then it block until semaphore is signaled. And this is the way how a semaphore function called wait function. Now second is signal. It increment the counter variables. It incremented by 1 value of 1 waiter if any, and it is called in this way. And this is symbolic notations. If you declare with different name, then you can call wait function in this way. So remember, wait function always decrement the value of semaphore, and signal function always increment the value of semaphore. And there is another function which gets initialize the semaphore. Initialization is very simple, like if we assign a value of semaphore, this is the semaphore structure, and suppose this is the variable of structure of type semaphore, and we assign the value of s equal to suppose 0. So this is done by the initialization function. So initialization is nothing, just we are equating 0 to a semaphore variables or provide some initial value to the semaphore variables. So it is not a compulsory to always initialize with 0. There is some binary semaphore also, there is some decimal semaphore also. We can assign some decimal values to the semaphore. That's why the initialization function is required to initialize the values to the semaphore. Here we are assigning 0. S equal to 0, that is initialization, and it is done by the initial function or initialization function. So this is sem dash init, initialization. So it takes two parameter. There is one of type semaphore structure and second is counter. So this is all about the today's lecture content. In the next lecture, we will discuss some more concept. Discuss some mutual exclusion conditions. 4 conditions, that is the good solution of critical section that we have already discussed. Some approach that implement the mutual exclusion, software approach, hardware approach, and operative system approach. This is in our syllabus, operating system approach. First is semaphores, second is monitors, third is message passing. So we have started semaphore concept, understand the definition of semaphore, how it works between two operations, and some functions that is used by the semaphore variable, signal, wait, and initialization. Initialization function is used for initializing the value of semaphore. Wait function is decrement the values of semaphore, and it is used to block the processes. And signal function increment the counter variables or semaphore variables, and it is give a wake up call to a waiting process. So this we have discussed, right?